You see those golden arches everywhere, right? On pretty much every corner of the planet. But behind that famous symbol is a story of pure genius, massive ambition, and just ruthless betrayal. Today, we're going to dive into the absolutely shocking origin story of McDonald's and how its original founders were basically erased from their own legacy.
And this, right here, is the heart of a story. It's this classic tale of innovation versus opportunism. And unbelievably, it all comes down to a single handshake that would change the world of food forever. So before there was this global empire, there were just two brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald. Now, they were running a pretty successful drive-in, but they saw all these problems. Service was slow, orders were always getting mixed up, costs were way too high, and they just knew there has got to be a better way. And this is where their genius just completely shines. To fix the problem, they actually shut down their own popular restaurant so they could design something totally new. Imagine this. They go to a local tennis court and they draw their dream kitchen to scale, right there in chalk. They had their employees walk through the motions for hours, figuring out the perfect, most efficient way to do everything. It was like a ballet of burger making. What they came up with was, well, it was nothing short of a revolution. They called it the speedy service system. Instead of a chaotic traditional kitchen, they basically invented a factory assembly line, but for food. Each person had one specific job, turning out perfect meals at a speed no one had ever seen before. So how'd it work? Well, it was a three-part stroke of genius. First, they slashed the menu, keeping only the absolute best sellers: burgers, fries, shakes. Simple. Second, they put that factory-style production line into action. And third, they got rid of the car hops and made customers walk up to a self-service counter to order. This was it. This was the birth of fast food as we know it today. The brothers' little restaurant became this local sensation. I mean, it was a model of efficiency that other business owners could only dream of. And all that success? Well, it eventually got the attention of the man who would change everything. A milkshake salesman named Ray Kroc. So you gotta understand, Kroc was this 52-year-old traveling salesman. He was hustling, selling these milkshake machines. When he gets a huge order for 8 machines from one single restaurant, he thinks, I gotta see this for myself. And when he saw the speedy service system in action, a light bulb just went off. He didn't just see a great burger joint. He saw a system that could be copied and pasted on every street corner in America. So Kroc convinces the brothers to let him lead their franchising efforts. But almost immediately, their partnership starts to crack. And it's because they had two completely, totally different philosophies about what McDonald's should be. And you can see the whole conflict laid out right here. The McDonald brothers, they were perfectionists. They cared about the quality of every single burger. They wanted to grow slowly, carefully, and get it right. Kroc? He was the exact opposite. He wanted explosive, nationwide growth, and he wanted it yesterday. For him, the system was everything, and he was more than willing to cut corners on quality to build his empire. The brothers were constantly clashing with Kroc. They were vetoing his big expansion plans and his ideas to cut costs. Kroc was getting so frustrated, feeling like his grand vision was being held hostage. So he found a way to seize control. This is the real turning point of the story. I mean, Kroc was legally bound by his contract with the brothers. He couldn't just walk all over them. So how in the world did he sideline the very men who hired him and actually owned the company? This was his masterstroke. It was absolutely brilliant and totally ruthless. A business advisor tells Kroc, "You're not in the burger business. You're in the real estate business." So Kroc creates a whole new company that would buy up the land for new McDonald's locations and then lease it back to the people running the restaurants. Suddenly, he was the landlord. He now controlled everything, effectively making the brothers totally irrelevant. With all this new leverage, Kroc basically forced the brothers into a corner. They were just exhausted from fighting him all the time and finally decided to sell. And this is where the story shifts from a ruthless business takeover to just a straight-up personal betrayal. Kroc offered them $2.7 million for the whole shebang, the company, the name, everything. Now that was about $1 million for each brother after taxes, which was a huge amount of money back then. They agreed, but they asked for one more thing. They wanted a 1% royalty on all future McDonald's profits, forever. But at the last minute, Kroc's lawyers said it couldn't be in the written contract for, tax reasons. So Kroc looked them in the eye and offered them the royalty deal on a handshake. He gave them his word. The brothers, who were men of their word, they trusted him. They shook hands on it. That royalty check, It never came. Not one. That 1% today would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. The handshake meant absolutely nothing. But Kroc still wasn't done. He didn't just want their company. He wanted to completely erase them from the story. He needed to be seen as the one and only founder. And his final move was as petty as it was brutal. See, as part of the deal, the brothers had to rename their original restaurant. They called it The Big M. So what does Kroc do? In an act of pure vengeance, he opens a brand new, official McDonald's literally right across the street. He even went to the grand opening himself just to make sure he drove his old partners out of business for good. The speed and the cold calculation of it all is just stunning. Think about it. Within just 1 year of the buyout, the handshake deal was broken and the brothers were being forced out of the very industry that they had created. You know, there's no denying it. Ray Kroc's ambition and his vision are what built McDonald's into the global titan it is today. But he did it by taking another man's idea, by breaking his word, and by utterly destroying the original creators. So it leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? Where do we draw the line between visionary ambition and outright theft?